Welcome to Dolly into Meaning. Want to learn how Steven Spielberg thinks so you can direct a scene like him? A signature of his is using camera moves to add meaning and feeling with a light touch you might not notice, but has great impact. Today, we're diving into a scene from Catch Me If You Can. What happens before our scene? DiCaprio has confidence man his way past FBI agent Tom Hanks, embarrassing him. But now months have passed. And on Christmas Eve, Frank calls Carl and apologizes, teasing Carl for tricking him. But Carl says he's going to catch him eventually. Frank hangs up angrily. By the end, the tables have turned. Now that's how someone tells a story, but this is how Spielberg shows one. It's one thing for a director to pick up a tool that's just laying around. It's another thing to pre-plan so that tool is right where it should be when it's needed.
Hello.
What tool are we talking about? There are several ways to show a character not only hearing something, but realizing something striking. One way is for them to sit up or stand up. Carl here realizes Frank, the fraudster he is trying to catch, is on the line when he sits up.
Hello.
Almost like a deer lifting up their ears to make sure they are hearing correctly. Other ways to show a realization are as small as a forced blink. But they require a close-up, but Spielberg doesn't want that yet. I'll tell you why later. They added all this beginning action so that Tom Hanks is pressing himself down low to the deck so that when the big realization hits, we have a big movement up.
Hello.
The audience isn't going to miss that in this medium shot. All of that is the context that sets up this camera move. When Spielberg tells the audience to ask why, you better listen.
Barry Allen, Secret Service.
Now, there are camera moves that help the audience follow or keep up with the actors. But when the audience sees camera motion where it isn't immediately obvious why the camera is moving, they look for what the director is trying to say to them. A stationary version of this shot just doesn't do it. At this height, even on a wide-angle lens, the emptiness of the desks aren't obvious enough. When the camera move has the audience subtly asking themselves why, it's what the new angle gives us that is our answer.
What do you want?
Because we have a top-level view now, the darkness, the emptiness takes more of the frame. And it's not an accident we've also pulled back to make him feel smaller, more alone. The color of the light does it too. There's a hinge of blue to the light coming from the windows, very different than the orange on Carl's desk lamp. He's on an island, surrounded and alone. You see how this is all planned? Each shot sets up and feeds the other. We have a similar angle looking down. Chairs are all empty again, saying Frank is all alone. But there's no camera move. That would be redundant. And even the lighting is all the same color, and even the same brightness. Unlike the previous shot, which in much louder way says Carl is alone. But again, all part of Spielberg's plan, because by the end of the scene, the roles will switch, and DiCaprio being alone will be the loud one.
What do you want?
I wanted to apologize for what happened out in Los Angeles.
No, you don't apologize to me.
Do you always work on Christmas Eve, Carl?
I volunteered. Something with families could...
This line
Do you always work on Christmas Eve?
feeds the purpose of this camera move paused here. It's a wide angle for the same reason as before, and this is also a wide lens, which exaggerates what's called the parallax, which is a fancy word that says the object in front are changing their size and position to the background at different rates. Movement naturally draws the audience's attention. So when here in The Fugitive, you are mostly looking at people in the background, even if Gerard is bigger and closer to camera. Or when Carl is better lit, but your eyes still flicker and notice the motion in the darkness, the empty desks. But even your attention going back to Carl reminds us it's Christmas with the tree being really close to him. There's no escaping it. Spielberg wants you to think Carl is lonely. And that notion is subtler with DiCaprio.
You want to talk?
So this line
It looked like you were wearing a wedding ring out in Los Angeles. I thought maybe you had a family.
is answered with a shot that shows Carl is in fact wearing a wedding ring, going directly against to what Carl is saying. Is he lying?
You want to talk to me? Let's talk face to face.
All right. I'm at my suite at the Stuyvesant Arms, room 3113. In the morning, I leave for Las Vegas for the weekend.
Is this camera move doing more than the others? Is it turning the screw, upping the intrigue, the cat and mouse back and forth of the moment without intensifying the stakes and pressure? This technique is used a lot in thriller moments. You place an object in front, perhaps one someone could be hiding behind, and get some of that parallax going to keep you guessing. It even works in moments where someone is definitely not hiding, like in the pilot of Stranger Things, creating a feeling.
Wait a minute. Do you hear that? That sound. Boom. Boom. Boom!
And there's a little bit of that going on here.
Me again? You're not going to Vegas. You're not in the Stuyvesant Arms. You'd love for me to send out 20 agents Christmas Eve.
As the intensity and nasty insults increase, we start to see close-ups, naturally upping the tension, because even reserved feelings show up more in a close-up. This is why Spielberg before didn't show a revelation with subtle performance like a blink.
Yeah.
But again, used an elaborate setup to show a revelation with Carl sitting up. He needed to reserve the intense close-ups for the building tensions later.
I knew it was you. Now, maybe I didn't get the cuffs on you, but I knew.
Oh, people only know what you...
Now a push-in, the camera directly moving in on a character, has key parts. When the camera starts to move and when the camera stops. Both tell you to pay attention and give you hints as to why, but you see there's a lot of shots where the camera's always moving.
Because they have Mickey Mantle.
A camera push-in makes audiences also feel like tension is building. At this point in the scene, we are seeing two different tools being used to create that feeling. The close-ups, which are more subtle, performance-based, which cutting to them comes up as a quick, stinging escalation.
Sorry for me. The truth.
But this is a slow burn increase of tension, and it's a change in tide where Carl subtly takes the upper hand. And the moment that another director might start the push-in, Spielberg has it square in the middle of it.
I'll tell you what I am sure of. You're going to get caught. One way or another. It's a mathematical fact. It's like Vegas. The house always wins.
Here, the camera isn't level. Like Frank, it's taken off guard.
I'm sorry, but I have to go.
You didn't call just to apologize, did you?
No longer are we slowly increasing tension. We are cutting to close-ups to bring about a sharp sting of a mocking jab.
Oh.
And we end on an extreme wide, a denouement, to show the tension is done and the scene is over.
Not feel sorry.
Now, one of the ways that makes a movie a Spielberg movie is the way he uses tools in subtle ways that doesn't hit you over the head with it. But in the end, a lot of what he does feeds and builds off one another. And when he pulls a punch, it's usually because he's holding in reserve for something else. We can learn a lot from watching the work of a great director. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit notifications to learn how directors make audiences think and feel.